On my very first meeting with my fiancée, I discovered secrets about her past that she never wanted to share with me, and doubts began to creep into my heart. I remember sitting across from her in a small cafe, the kind of place where the lights are warm and the silence between conversations feels comfortable. At least that's what I expected. My heart was racing with excitement. This wasn't just another date. This was supposed to be the beginning of something solid, the first real step into a future I had dreamed about. At first, everything felt natural. We talked about our childhood memories, little embarrassing stories, the funny quirks in our families. She laughed softly, and I couldn't help but think to myself, yes, this is it. This is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. But then, something shifted. Every time I mentioned something about the past, old friends, old choices, or random moments from my younger years, her expression changed. Her eyes avoided mine, her voice dropped, and a strange, uneasy smile would appear on her face. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe she was just shy or nervous. But the more I noticed it, the harder it was to ignore. Without planning to, I asked her, "Is there something you're not telling me?" The way she froze at that moment is something I'll never forget. Her fingers tightened around the cup in her hands. Her shoulders stiffened, and for a few seconds she just stared at the table like it held the answers she didn't want to give. Then finally she whispered, "There are things about my past that I didn't want anyone to know." My stomach dropped. I tried to keep my face calm, but inside my mind was racing. I leaned forward. "What kind of things?" I asked, trying to sound gentle, though my voice betrayed me with a slight tremor. She looked at me then, and there was fear in her eyes, mixed with a plea, almost like she was silently begging me not to judge her. She started speaking in fragments, her words scattered, her voice trembling. She didn't give me everything, but she gave me just enough to know that there was more, so much more, hidden beneath the surface. As I listened, a storm began brewing inside me. Part of me wanted to reach across the table, hold her hand, and say, "It's okay. The past doesn't matter." But another part of me, the louder part, kept shouting, "Why didn't she tell me this earlier? Why keep it a secret? Until now?" Her every pause, every nervous glance only deepened my suspicion. I knew she wasn't telling me the full story, and the little I did hear was enough to plant a seed of doubt that grew heavier with every passing second. The woman I thought I knew so well, the woman I was ready to build a life with, suddenly felt like a stranger. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake the feeling that her past was about to become my problem too. That day at that table, with her avoiding my gaze and my mind spiraling with questions, I realized something. This was not just the beginning of our relationship. It was the beginning of a struggle between trust and doubt, between love and fear, a struggle I wasn't sure I was ready to face. The silence between us felt heavier than any words. I could hear the faint clinking of cups from other tables, the low hum of conversations around the cafe, but to me, it all faded away. All I could focus on was her. The woman sitting across from me, the woman I thought I knew, but who suddenly felt like a complete stranger. She finally spoke again, her voice barely audible. "I never wanted you to find out like this," she said, her hands nervously twisting the ring on her finger. "I wanted to keep the past behind me. I thought I could." I leaned forward, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. "What exactly are you trying to say?" My words came out sharper than I intended, and I immediately regretted it when I saw her flinch. She took a deep breath, her eyes darting to the window as if searching for an escape. Then she began. Her words came slowly at first, almost hesitant, as though each sentence carried a weight too heavy to release. She spoke about mistakes she had made, people she had trusted who had betrayed her, choices that had led her down roads she never thought she would walk. The more she spoke, the more conflicted I felt. Part of me admired her courage for opening. up at all. But another part of me, maybe the part I didn't want to admit existed, felt betrayed. Not because of what she had done, but because she had kept it from me for so long. I watched her as she spoke, noticing the way her hands trembled, the way her lips quivered with every confession. She wasn't telling me everything. That much I knew. These were fragments, pieces of a puzzle she was carefully choosing to share while hiding the corners that might reveal the full picture. I tried to ask, gently at first, "Why didn't you tell me before? Why wait until now?" Her eyes met mine, filled with something I couldn't fully read. Fear, guilt, maybe both. "Because I was afraid you'd see me differently. Afraid you wouldn't want me anymore." Her words hit me hard. She was right, because in that moment I didn't know what to think. The version of her I had carried in my mind, the image of a perfect future partner, was starting to crack, and what lay beneath those cracks terrified me. As she continued, I realized she was choosing her words very carefully. There were pauses, long hesitations, sudden changes of topic when the conversation came too close to something deeper. That only fueled my doubts. What else was there? What wasn't she telling me? I stared at her, listening but also analyzing every gesture, every nervous smile. It felt like I was no longer just her fiancé. I had become an investigator, digging through layers of secrets I never signed up for. And yet, despite the unease, despite the questions clawing at my chest, I couldn't pull away. I needed to know more. I needed to understand exactly who this woman was, and what she was still hiding from me. Because deep down, I knew this was only the surface of a story far darker, far more complicated than she was willing to admit. And as she lowered her gaze, once again, avoiding my eyes, I realized with chilling certainty, this was only the beginning. That night, after everything she had told me, I walked home with a storm raging inside me. My heart wanted to forgive, to move forward, but my mind wouldn't stop replaying every word, every secret she had tried to bury. When I finally sat with myself, I realized the truth. Trust, once shaken, is almost impossible to rebuild. I loved her, there was no doubt about that. But love alone couldn't erase the shadows of her past or the doubts that had taken root in my heart. So I made the hardest decision of my life. I chose to let her go, because sometimes holding on means destroying yourself, and walking away is the only way to survive. And so, our story comes to an end today. But in the world of Max fables, every tale carries a lesson and leaves an impact. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you won't miss our upcoming tales. Here, where stories come to life.